All right, and we're back with the First Team Fantasy Podcast. We have all of our afternoon games, our Sunday night, and our Monday night game previews. So starting off with the Panthers heading into Tampa Bay to take on the Bucs. Excuse me, the over-under is 37 in this one, and the Bucs are favored by 4 points. The notable injuries for the offensive sides of the ball: Tommy Tremble is doubtful for the Panthers, and Hayden Hurst is out.
Wow.
So it will be, I can't remember the third string tight end's name. Forgive me for forgetting the name of the third string Panthers tight end.
Yeah.
For the Bucs, Chris Godwin is questionable with a neck injury, which he's kind of been on the benchable side. So
Yeah.
while this is obviously a notable injury, if he were to miss, I think that would just mean a lot more targets for Mike Evans and Rashad White. So, going to the Panthers side of the ball, they are currently scoring 15.7 points per game, which is 29th in the NFL, passing for 173 per game, and rushing for 92.6 per game, all in the bottom quarter of the NFL. So they're not very good on the offensive side of the ball. We saw a very troubling last week out of Adam Thielen. But if there's hope, it is to be had this week.
Yeah.
They're going up against a Bucs defense who is currently giving up 267.8 yards through the air per game, which is 31st in the NFL. Only 95.9 yards on the ground. But a couple things that I saw were that the Bucs are missing both Levante David and Devin White, and one of their other linebackers is also questionable. That definitely hurts the run defense. I think that makes Chuba Hubbard start a lot more likable this week. I mean, he's getting to the point where he's obviously the viable running back in the Carolina Panthers backfield. And with the two main linebackers missing, I think that, they still have a good defensive line when it comes to stopping the run, but missing the two leaders of your defense kind of hurts everything.
Yeah.
So, I think I think Chuba Hubbard should be good. Miles Sanders, still no.
No.
And then Adam Thielen, I think he should be good to go this week.
Yeah.
Not going with Bryce Young, and I'd prefer to stay away from their kicker and their defense.
Yeah.
So, onto the Buccaneers side of the ball. They are currently scoring 19.3 points per game, which is 23rd in the NFL, 222.8 passing yards per game, which isn't terrible by any means, 16th, literally at the halfway mark. But 81.3 rushing yards per game, 31st in the NFL. Thankfully, we know what Rashad White is by now, which is a PPR demon. We like him for the targets. We don't care about the inefficiency on the ground.
Yeah.
Through 12 weeks, he currently has 559 rushing yards. The rushing yards are more of a bonus when it comes to Rashad White, somewhat similar to Alvin Kamara. We like the targets, and if he gets in the end zone, even better.
Yeah.
So you're still starting him. It actually helps that the Carolina Panthers are giving up 124.9 yards on the ground. So they're terrible against the run. Mm-hmm. And we know Rashad White gets all the volume. So he is good to go 100% for me. The one thing that's tough, Carolina gives up 179 yards through the air. Now, in a week with 6 quarterbacks on bye, Baker Mayfield is definitely one of the names that appears at the top of the list when it comes to waiver wire quarterbacks.
Yeah.
He has been dealing with an ankle injury. He is good to go, but I've seen that it, might limit him. He is not known for running, but if you watch Baker Mayfield play, every now and then he'll escape for 15, 20 yards. And taking away his capability to move around in the pocket, along with Carolina's inefficiency defending the run, I think we're going to see a whole lot of Rachaad White. I mean, we might see a couple touchdowns from Baker. I don't know. It's just not a week that I'm really going out on a limb to start him, especially with the ankle injury that he's dealing with. Mike Evans, on the other hand, you have to start no matter what. He is the obvious lead receiver in Tampa Bay. Currently has 850 yards. I mean, he's going to get the targets. Hopefully, he can get in the end zone. And you're just not overthinking it when it comes to guys like Mike Evans. You're throwing him out there. Chris Godwin, on the other hand, like we talked about, he is questionable with that neck injury, making it even harder to say go out and start him. Yeah. Probably a guy that I would prefer to bench this week, but knowing the landscape of the bye weeks makes it very difficult. So if he is going to play and he's healthy and you're in a position where you have to start him, then throw him out there and just hope for the best. Yeah. But knowing that with the quarterback possibly limited and with him possibly limited, you could be looking at a rough game.
Yeah.
And I think the Buccaneers defense might be a decent start just because that offensive line in Carolina is bad. I watched someone posted some highlights of Bryce Young having pressure in his face by the time he's on his back foot planting to throw the football. He's a little guy. I mean, there's not much he can do with what he's given. Tampa Bay has a good pass rush, as we've known. It's going to hurt them having those two linebackers out, but Carolina's offense is nothing that anybody should be afraid of on any given week. Yeah. They have a very hard time scoring. But that's all I have for this one. So we can move right along.
I mean, just one question, because a guy like Curtis Samuel's available in a good amount of leagues. Would you rather start Curtis Samuel or Chris Godwin this week?
Curtis Samuel.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that Washington's going to have to throw the ball to keep up with Miami.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I don't know that Tampa Bay is going to have to throw the ball that much. Carolina's run defense is terrible.
That's a very good point. I just thought I'd throw that out there because I'm sure there's people out there that could be dealing with that.
100%.
Yeah, but that will take us to my only afternoon game, and honestly, not even just my opinion. It's the best game of the week. It's the Niners at the Eagles.
Oh, yeah.
I'm interested.
It's a rematch of the NFC Championship game.
Yeah. The Christian McCaffrey quarterbacked NFC Championship game.
One that Niner fans would probably like to throw far, far away in their memory.
Yeah. And the Eagles are not good at all against the pass. They give up basically 256 yards through the air. That is 29th in the league. They are dominant against the run, giving up 85.3 yards a game. I'm just curious how this game's going to go, meaning the Eagles have been running the gauntlet as of late. They beat the Cowboys 28-23, then they had a lower scoring game against the Chiefs 21-17, and then a complete shootout against the Bills 37-34. In my opinion, I feel like this game's going to lean closer to like the Eagles and Chiefs, like a 21-17, than like a Bills-Eagles 37-34. But also, we don't know. Like both these offenses are crazy high-powered. The Niners are dominant against the run too. They're second best in the NFL. The Eagles are third. The difference is the Niners are a bit better against the pass. They're 12th in the league, 213 yards. But no matter what the stats say in this game, every single big name in this game we're starting. You know,
100%.
Like you have to start Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, Debo, Ayuk, Kittle. You have to. You go to the Eagles side of the ball. Jalen Hurts, DeAndre Swift, Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, and Jake Elliott. But
I feel like in that sense, it doesn't leave that much to talk about. But we have seen in a lot of games like this, and you have to be. Both of these defenses are very capable of just
Mm-hmm.
shutting down an entire game. Like, there's times where both teams have a pass rush that could take the game over.
Yeah.
And they make it hard for. So it could very well, like you said, be a low-scoring outing, and one
Mm-hmm.
of the many that we've looked at on the schedule this year and thought, wow, this is going to be a great week for fantasy.
And it might
And
not be.
it might end up being for one or two guys on both combined for both teams.
Yeah. No,
So,
I completely agree, and that kind of just segues to my last point / question for this game. Are you starting either of the defenses? I didn't think so.
no.
It's such a, because it could be a low scoring game. It could be a defensive game. But if you start the Niners defense against the Eagles and they put up 30, it's like, dude, you just started them against the Eagles. Like, what were you?
Yeah, because it's like just the same way both of these teams have amazing defensive lines. Their offensive lines are
Mm-hmm.
kind of just as good.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You just never know who is going to show up on any given set.
Yeah.
If both of the teams' offensive lines are outplaying the other defensive line, then you're not going to see a bunch of sacks. You're probably not going to see a bunch of interceptions because they're not being hurried a whole bunch.
Yeah.
So
So
it's just a risky play.
yeah, it's going to be the best football game we watched this week. Fantasy output wise, it really could go either way. It really could.
Yeah, I mean, just to take that a step further, to put it in perspective, the over-under in this game is 48. I'd much prefer to take, like I said, I like the Bucks defense this week. The over-under in that game is 36.5.
Mm-hmm.
And implied point totals are implied for a reason. But I'd much rather take a game where they're projecting 40 points don't even get scored than one where 48 gets scored, you know.
Yeah.
Your chances are just higher for success.
Yeah. But that's all I had for that one. It's going to be a very entertaining game to watch.
I do believe so.
Yeah.
On to my next one, which, the hell, I don't know. It could be entertaining. It could very well be one-sided. The Cleveland Browns are going into Los Angeles to take on the Rams. And this one's interesting. The Rams, I guess, aren't dead. They're 5-6. But the Browns are 7-4. And as I'm sure everybody has heard by now, because why wouldn't you have? Joe Flacco will be the starter for the Cleveland Browns. Funny enough, I saw a tweet today. They also brought AJ Green up from the practice squad. Someone said, if you would have seen this Browns roster in 2012.
Like the AJ Green?
Yes,
He was on the...
apparently.
Okay. Okay. That's insane. That is insane.
Yep. Browns elevate Joe Flacco and AJ Green to the active roster. A sentence that would have sounded bonkers in the AFC North in 2012. From Andrew Siciliano.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
We are living in the Matrix because, wow. AJ Green and Joe Flacco playing for the Browns in 2023.
A good Browns team. A competing Browns team.
7-4 Browns team.
Yeah.
A 7-4 Browns team. Which is the reason why Myles Garrett is going to win Defensive Player of the Year. Just
Probably.
due to
Probably
that.
so.
But the other, so yeah, Dorian Thompson-Robinson is out with a concussion, as is Marquise Goodwin. Browns cornerback Denzel Ward is still going to be out with the shoulder injury. So hey,
it adds a little bit.
Maybe Puka and Cooper can get it done this week.
Mm-hmm.
And for the Rams, nobody on the offensive side of the ball is going to be out. Man. This one, for the Browns, I mean, genuinely for the Browns, I like playing David Njoku.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way this offense has been going for the past couple of weeks. It has been keeping it simple, going through the tight end and the running back. I said earlier in the week that I didn't necessarily like starting Jerome Ford this week. I had him as a sit. Well, with Joe Flacco starting,
Yeah.
it's going to be a lot of dump offs to the running back and the tight end. I have a very hard time trusting Amari Cooper and an even harder time trusting Elijah Moore this week.
Yeah.
It's a completely new quarterback in week 13 of the season.
Mm-hmm.
It just, the unknowing makes it way too hard to go out there and tell anybody to start him, especially. It sucks because Amari Cooper is another one that we drafted very high.
Mm-hmm.
But just with Joe Flacco having his first start this week, I don't know.
I agree.
The Rams are giving up 217.9 pass yards per game. 14th in the league.
Mm-hmm.
113 on the ground, which is 18th in the league. More susceptible against the run. No. So I'm going to go ahead and say no to Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
No to Elijah Moore. Yes to Jerome Ford and David Njoku.
Yeah.
And that's really it. I mean, I'm not saying to throw all the Browns stats out the window for this week, like they're scoring 21.7 points per game. But a lot of this stuff has not been with Joe Flacco. So it's going to be a completely new look, in my opinion. Because he does not have the same play style as Deshaun Watson, PJ Walker, or Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
No, he does not.
By any means.
No.
So, that's the biggest part of all of this, is those three quarterbacks at the very least. It's like, with the Ravens, Lamar goes down, you go to Tyler Huntley. Huntley goes down, you go to Josh Johnson. They all have some similar type of play style. So it's like the playbook isn't going to have to change that much. Joe Flacco cannot run.
No.
Joe Flacco cannot run. Those other three quarterbacks on the Browns can.
Yeah.
So that it completely changes things. That's why it's like the running back and the tight end are the only two for that reason that I trust this week. Other than that, it's up in the air.
Yeah.
But going to the Rams side of the ball, they passed the ball for 226 yards per game, 15th in the NFL, run for 114 per game. Now we know how good the Browns defense has been, only giving up 142 in the air, 105.9 on the ground. First in total yards per game. They only give up 247.9 yards per game total.
Yeah.
This is tough. This is really tough because it's weeks like this where you have so many guys on bye. Like Amari Cooper, it's not the same thing because we have a completely different quarterback. So it's like I can't sit here and make the same conversation for Amari Cooper. And we have seen him declining with other quarterbacks. So if this is a revival with the new quarterback, then we can afford leaving him on our bench a week to wait and see. But with these other two, they've been with Matt Stafford. The Rams have won games. I don't know.
You have to. You just have to.
It's just we're so deep in the fantasy season that it's like, is this where we draw the line? Is this week where we draw the line? Or is after this week the excuse they played the Browns? But what was the excuse every other week?
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Do we draw the line this week? What do you think?
If you lose if this is a big week for you, and you end up not making playoffs because week 13, with all these teams on bye, you didn't start Cooper Kupp in your lineup and he went crazy. You know what I mean, though?
That's why I'm asking if this week is where we draw the line. Because this week you're almost forced into starting these two guys.
You have to. You have to.
So, no, yeah, you have to. This week, you're pretty much forced into it.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, is this where we draw the line?
Oh, yeah.
Because if
Yeah.
you're forced into starting them this week, they don't perform for you. Next week, you're getting all your guys back for the most part.
I don't care if it's against the Browns. These guys need to perform, especially without Denzel Ward. These guys need to perform. Kyron Williams isn't going to be able to run it like he's ran it, last week. It's just not going to happen. It's going to have to be Puka and Cooper.
Efficiently.
No.
Not remotely as efficiently. Like I said, the Browns are giving up 105.9 on the ground per game. We're not benching Kyron Williams.
No.
I don't care who they're going up against. We're not benching Kyron Williams.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen decent performances against the Browns defense by Najee Harris.
Yeah.
We've seen decent performance from Keaton Mitchell. Kyron Williams can and will have a decent day against the Browns.
Yeah.
It's just these other two that deeply concern me.
Yeah.
Tyler Higbee, I do not care what he did last week. I'm not starting him against the Cleveland Browns.
No.
Nor am I starting Matthew Stafford or anybody else on the Rams for that matter.
Yeah.
So I think that about sums it up. It's just this limbo we're in with Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp.
Yeah. No, 100%.
It sucks, dude.
Yeah,
it really sucks.
Yeah. Well, that finishes our afternoon games. This will take us to our Sunday night, where the Chiefs will travel to Green Bay and take on the Packers. And the Packers' defense is solid against the pass. They're 9th in the NFL, 205 yards, but they are horrible against the run, 27th, 135 yards a game. Patrick Mahomes, we have to start. Obvious. Him and Travis Kelce, obviously. And honestly, Isaiah Pacheco too. Because we saw what Isaiah Pacheco was able to do against the Raiders, who have a very bad run defense as well. Isaiah Pacheco is going to have success. I'm absolutely starting Rashee Rice this week. And the main reason being is since week 5 of this season, in full PPR format, Rashee Rice's worst performance is 8.2.
To take it a step beyond that, the Chiefs found real life success last week, last week, giving him the targets a wide receiver one should get.
Yeah.
They were able to score points in the second half, which they had not done in the past 5 games, I believe.
Yes. No,
they hadn't
literally
scored in the previous 3 quarters.
Mm-hmm.
Or some crazy it was genuinely like the key finally went into the right lock and they figured it out.
Yeah.
That is, to me, it's like if they go away from that, that's not your fault as a fantasy manager. That is their fault as real life coaches, because they finally were able to put points on the board and do what the Chiefs do by using the guy they drafted.
Yeah, Rashee Rice has really been coming along, and I mean, he's obviously the best wide receiver in that wide receiver room. It's not even close. So the Chiefs are another one of those teams. I mean, Rashee Rice was the only should I start this guy? But it's this week, absolutely. And honestly, we'll talk about it next week, seeing how his performance is, but he almost should be in every week like a flex start if you're in a 3 wide receiver.
Yes, but that's going back to the same thing at this point in the season. The Chiefs need to get going, trying to get that number 1 seed, using rookie wide receiver in the latter half of the year, everything coming together at the right time.
Yeah.
So.
But that's all I had for the Chiefs. Obviously, we're starting Butker. The Chiefs defense, see, for example, I have the Chiefs defense. I'm not starting them this week because, and it goes back to the Eagles or Niners also. Should we start those defenses? I'd rather start the Chargers defense against Bailey Zappi. And the Chargers are terrible on defense. But the Patriots are there's just good.
Chargers defense, there's just to give examples of better, the Jaguars going up against the Bengals on Monday night. The Jaguars are at home.
Yeah.
The Bengals offense with Jake Browning has not been efficient. That game is implied 39.5 total points.
Yeah.
I'd prefer that one. Another one with a low implied point total. The Jets or Falcons. If you could get either one of those defenses,
Yeah.
the implied point total is 33.5 points.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably not going to be many points scored in general in that game. Like I said, the Colts defense. Hell, the Chargers defense.
Yeah, there's just better matchups, like much
Just
better
better
matchups.
options.
Yeah.
Like, we get it, the name, but it's too important. Like, hell, I got burned by the Cowboys defense. Did not think that matchup would go the way it did.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show the bigger name defense, it necessarily does not matter, especially at this point in the year. You need victories.
Yeah.
But going to the Packers side of the ball, they are currently passing for 222. Oh, they're scoring 21 points per game, even 18th in the league, passing for 222 yards per game, and rushing for 102.7 per game. A.J. Dillon, surprise, surprise, is the leading rusher. Jaden Reed is still the leading receiver.
Yeah.
The Chiefs' defense is giving up 113 yards on the ground per game and only 176.6 through the air. So, I mean, Jordan Love's been great.
Mm-hmm.
This week, I don't think this is the week.
Yeah.
The Chiefs' defense has been what has been keeping them afloat. They're only giving up 16.5 points per game. And it just doesn't... I feel like a game like this doesn't leave much room for error for the Packers with how good the Chiefs' defense is, and regardless of... I mean, how good the Chiefs' offense is. They're scoring 23.3 points per game.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes, and, we talked about Rachi Rice, still got Travis Kelce. There's not much room for error, and the Chiefs just don't give much up.
Yeah.
So I just don't. I think it really could be a blowout. We've been wrong before. So,
yeah.
I mean, I just don't like the Jordan Love start. I don't hate the A.J. Dillon start. I don't hate it because he's going to get the volume. Aaron Jones is going to miss another game. But it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
It is going to be very tough. With the Green Bay receivers, Jaden Reed has been great.
Mm-hmm.
This is a week I'm not looking to force him into my lineup. And it's hard honestly, if you're in a position, especially you're in a 3 wide receiver league and you have a flex, like a league like we're in. If you're in a position where you have like Devontae, Stephon Diggs, guys like, you have a bunch of big names. Like if you have like Devontae and Zay Flowers or something, I don't hate like the Jaden Reed start because they use him in more ways than just the pass game. They get him involved, so he's the guy that I'm most leaning towards in that receiving room. The other two guys, I don't hate it, especially Christian Watson has the big playability. So it's like you could end up hating yourself for benching him this week like you did last week. But it is just a very good defense, so it makes it hard for me to... Last week they went up against the Lions defense, where that is their weakness, is the pass. So it's not the same story. But yeah, that's really all. It's just a tough decision to make. If you are in a position where you can avoid starting them, by all means, go ahead. But if not, good luck.
Yeah. It's so late in the fantasy season for so many buys. Like, this is just such an important week. There's a lot of implications on this one. But that'll take us to our final game. The Bengals at the Jaguars. The Jaguars are currently 28th against the pass, giving up 255 yards, and 4th against the rush, giving up 87. Obviously, this is Jake Browning and not Joe Burrow. We're not considering starting Jake Browning. I think, and what scares me with Joe Mixon in this one is the Jaguars being really dominant against the run, and Joe Mixon only getting 10 total touches last week. In a week that I figured he's going to get 20 to 25. Whether that's carries, I figured 5-6 targets out the backfield, 15 carries at least. Why would you not lean on Joe Mixon? No, they did not. I don't know if they're planning to change that game plan in this one. It's not like another running back was getting snaps instead of Joe Mixon. He was the only running back that got anything. He's the only running back that touched the ball. So his volume alone makes it to where it's hard to put him on the bench, but I am very curious to see his involvement. They may try to change their game plan because last week it clearly did not work for them. Jamar Chase, we are obviously starting. Here's a fun one. Would you rather start T. Higgins or Jaden Reed this week? It's a good one though, huh? I mean,
probably T. Higgins or no. I don't know because I don't think has T. Higgins even taken a snap with Jake Browning?
No, but none of these guys had until last week. You know what I mean? But no, he has not.
No, but in that rest of the Ravens game, Jamar Chase played with him.
Okay, yeah.
Jamar Chase got the touchdown with him at the end of the game. So there's actually like rapport built within like a game and a half.
Yeah.
For some of these guys, and T. Higgins coming into his first contest with him. Compared to Jaden Reed, T. Higgins can end this game with like 4 targets.
Mm-hmm. He could.
I'm not saying that's going to happen by any means, but it is a possibility.
Absolutely.
In his first game with his quarterback compared to Jaden Reed, who is the lead receiver on his team.
Yeah.
So I think I would lean Jaden Reed.
Yeah. So, I mean, on the Bengals side of the ball, we're not, with T. Higgins returning, Tyler Boyd and Trenton Irwin especially kind of take that step back to where we're not, even without T. Higgins and it being Jake Browning, we're not really looking at those guys, but now we're not at all. The tight ends, Tanner Hudson gets a lot of catches, but he doesn't play enough for us to see him as a viable option. To circle back to T. Higgins quickly, I'm in a spot where I feel like I almost have to start T. Higgins because I have so many buys. My only other option, and I guess you could give your opinion, is Jerry Jeudy. And I just feel like...
Oh, you dropped him.
I think I did drop him, actually, to pick up the Chargers defense.
Yeah, he's on my team.
Okay, well, have fun with him. It's just one of those things where it depends how your team looks. Yeah, exactly. It just depends how your team looks, but yeah, T. Higgins, we don't know his rapport or how it will go once we see the rapport. So he's a very risky play that could pay off big, but also could hurt you big.
Let's see. Oh, damn it. T. Higgins or
Romeo Doubs.
A.J. Dillon. Secure volume.
It is secure volume. My head tells me A.J. Dillon, but like...
higher risk and reward for T. Higgins, but...
Yeah, exactly.
It's definitely a safer play with A.J. Dillon in my
Absolutely.
opinion.
I agree with that, 100%.
A.J. Dillon's last 3 weeks, 9.1, 10.1, 11... What the hell? 9.1, 10.1, 11.1. Okay, I guess he's due for 12.1 points.
And that would be solid for you,
Yeah, maybe you should roll A.J. Dillon.
Yeah.
But yeah, going to the Jacksonville side of the ball, they are currently passing for 238 yards per game, running for 106.2 per game. scoring 23.1 points per game. The Cincinnati Bengals are giving up 249.6 yards through the air each game and 139.6 on the ground. Knowing what we know with the Travis Etienne injury, I mean, we're definitely watching. I think if you have another really good option, I might put him in the place of Etienne as your starting running back. And if you have a guy that plays at, in the afternoon slate on Sunday, just maybe leave him in the flex with the opportunity of putting Etienne in your flex. I just think if Etienne doesn't end up playing, or it comes out that he's going to be on a snap count or something, they don't play till Monday. So if that information comes out, past the point, it's 10 a.m. or past 10 a.m., and your other options at running back have already started playing, you are then missing out on the opportunity of making any kind of pivot.
Yeah.
So that's just playing. Like, for example, in Guillotine, right now I have Zach Moss starting and Deebo Samuel, who plays at 125 in at my flex. And if I get any positive news about Travis Etienne, then I might switch him. But otherwise, it's, like I said, it's just too late in the year to be playing these kind of games. They're going up against a very weak Cincinnati defense against the run and the pass.
Yeah.
So they very well could just air it out all game.
Yeah, they might not need Etienne to have a huge workload.
They might not need Etienne that much. Yeah. So, and they could very well, get to the point where they're just icing the game with Tank Bigsby. And who's the other one they have? J. Michael Hasty?
I think it's Dearness Johnson, right?
Yeah, they do have Dearness Johnson now. It's always...
Yeah.
But him, Agumbawale, someone like that.
Yeah.
But that being said, our other Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, easy start. Easy start this week. Christian Kirk, I think, is a good start, as is Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
Zay Jones, not so much. Evan Ingram, yes. Brandon McManus, yes. And the Jaguars defense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's pretty simple for the Jaguars side of the ball, honestly. The only thing that is complicated is Etienne with the lingering health issue. So.
Yeah. No, I agree.
With it being a rib contusion, him being a running back. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, other than that, it's really all I got for this one. So that will be all. So stay tuned, guys. We have a big week next week because it is the last week, well, for a lot of leagues, the last week before fantasy playoffs start.
Yes.
So we're going to be going to be a lot of attention to detail next week because obviously a very important week for everybody. But yeah, that'll be it for today, for this episode. So good luck, everybody, this week, next week, the rest of your fantasy season. Hope everybody who's been tuning in makes playoffs. Let us know how you guys are doing. If you're primed to make a playoff run, what it's looking like for you, any help you need with any decisions. Obviously, trading's over, so waiver wire decisions you might need to make, so on and so forth. Thank you once again for all of the support. And once again, come back next time. Take more reps with the first team.
Yes, sir.